Talking about the devastating impact of abortion on the Black community is hard. Talking about a systemic, predatory industry that targets African American women for abortion violence and that has succeeded in reducing America's total Black population by 25% since Roe versus Wade. It's something we have to do as pro-life activists.
Hey guys, this is Autumn Higashi, Students for Life spokesperson, jumping on Explicitly Pro-Life to let you know about a very special event coming up that we need you to join. This Valentine's Day, we are asking the Walgreens CEO to love them both, the mother and the child, and to stop distributing chemical abortion pills. Women and children deserve better than these deadly abortion drugs that are responsible for the deaths of nearly 30 women and millions of preborn babies. So, I'm asking you to please visit studentsforlife.org/abortion cartel to get more information about joining our February 14th protest online or in person, and see about hosting your own local pharmacy protest on March 4th. We cannot let our pharmacies become abortion facilities. Thank you.
Hey, Pro-Life Gen, I'm Kristan Hawkins. Welcome to this new episode of the Explicitly Pro-Life podcast. I am so honored today to be joined by my dear friend, Dr. Alveda King, who's live in person with me. Alveda serves as the chair of the America First Policy Institute Center for the American Dream. She is the daughter of the late slain civil rights activist, Reverend A.D. King, the niece of Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. She's a well-known Christian evangelist, a graduate of A.D. University, is the founder of Speak for Life and Alveda King Ministries. And I heard she even has a show on Fox Nation, a cooking show, which hopefully I can convince her to let me be on at some point. I have some goals, and that may be one of them. So, Alveda, thank you for joining me today.
Well, Kristan, you're far too young to have a bucket list. So you still have goals. I have a bucket list. That's the difference in our ages. And that's really, I want to address that, what is so relevant about that. Mm-hmm. And so what we're finding out now, since Roe v. Wade passed.
Yes.
Left. Roe v. Wade actually left.
Thrown onto the ash heap.
So it passed, and then it was reversed. It's back to the states. Mm-hmm. And so now people are a little more interested. It's easier to engage young people.
Yep.
I was just at Anderson University in South Carolina, and I was amazed because the vice president of diversity says, "You know Students for Life?" I said, "I sure do." And it occurred to me that they're just perfect for another chapter. So what we have to do across America and around the world, when we know what we're saying and doing is true, to invite others to join us. Mm-hmm. And that's the thing that we really can do with diversity. For instance, I'm African American.
You don't say.
Yeah.
I'm shocked.
Yeah. So here we are. So what do we have in common? Mm-hmm. We value the sanctity of life. Mm-hmm. We know now that life is really in the womb. Mm-hmm. From the womb to the tomb into eternity or beyond. Mm-hmm. And so we have to learn how to say all hands on deck. Mm-hmm. I'm not colorblind. I can see you. You can see me. I appreciate your ethnicity, your pain, and your victories. Mm-hmm. And then begin to get this truth out in every community. Now, you're already doing that. Mm-hmm. But the way to expand and get the young people, one thing that people have not understood, we can't have the long op-eds, the long videos, the long messages. We have to shorten that message. Mm-hmm. You know, for instance, I bet you saw it because I think you liked it. I said, CRT is racist, period. Boom.
Done.
And once I said that, you taught me that actually, Kristan, because I used to be so long-winded and you were trying to be so
I'm not going to bring up your old text messages to me.
And you were trying to be polite. So I think I learned the lesson. So we have to say it concisely and explicitly and clearly.
Yep.
And reach, and don't be afraid of social media, folks. Mm-hmm. Folks, go on social media. It can be evil, but we're not evil. So when we're there, it's not evil.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's right. Yeah. I mean, you talk about social media, using it as this tool in our tool chest to abolish abortion. It's just like any other, weapon of choice, fighting a war of how do we get out this message. I think that's one of the questions that I know if other Students for Life activists were sitting here with you today, I think that's a question that so many of them have is how do we talk about this issue and how abortion disproportionately affects the Black community, even if we're not Black?
You present facts. You present truth. You do it concisely. And people will say, that's not true. That's shocking. That can't be real. But then you prove it. And then you invite the communities to come together. And that's something we've not done. We have our corners. I have this corner, I have that corner. Black race, white race, no such thing. Human race, one blood. So we come together, and as we come together and we tell that truth, people will really listen. I remember one of my most effective moments was when Students for Life partnered with the National Black Pro-Life Coalition, later the Douglas Foundation, and we began to stand together, side by side, proclaiming those truths together. The more we can do that, then people will say, okay, so color is not a barrier. The economic differences, no barrier. We're all human beings.
That's right.
And so when we see that, then we can actually work together.
That's right. I think that's so important that we look for opportunities to partner with other organizations, like-minded organizations. We do a lot of work with the Frederick Douglass Foundation, which is a broader conservative Black Republican network. But where we can, we want to partner with FDF and what they're doing. They're co-defendants with us with our lawsuit against the Washington, D.C. here. I felt kind of bad. We roped them into a chalking display that turned into a big incident. But I think that's really important. And it gives their members and their activists also a way for them to meet other full-time pro-life activists and vice versa.
And I'm still ready because you call me, I come, you know that. And I do speak for life.
That's right.
And as I speak for life, others listen. One thing I've been saying to people, though, I'm one person. And I can go to as many places as I can, but I can't do it by myself. I have to join others. And that's how, as a network grows, the voice grows. And I'm really practicing that more and more now.
Do you feel like your work and your mission is an extension of your mission of your father?
Okay.
And your uncle?
Okay. And my granddaddy.
And your granddaddy.
Daddy King Sr.
Okay.
And many people don't know that testimony, how in 1950 my mom was a college student and she was going to have a DNC. She was pregnant. And abortion was illegal, but DNCs were not. And my granddaddy said, you can't abort that baby. That's a little girl. I saw her in a dream 3 years ago. She has bright skin and bright red hair, and she's going to bless many people. So Daddy King was pro-life. Actually, Martin Luther King Jr. was. Planned Parenthood tried to hijack that and say he was for reproductive rights. But he said the Negro cannot win if he's willing to sacrifice the future of his children for immediate personal comfort and safety. My daddy, A.D. King, would often say, some people care more about making a living than making a life. So I was raised with that message, went away from it right around the time Roe v. Wade became law. And then I came back. When I came back to my love for the Lord, I repented and became a voice for life. And that's how that happened.
What an incredible family legacy that you just have this honor to continue, growing and with your mission. Do you ever get, I would assume you get some very nasty, you talked about using social media. You're on social media a lot.
Some real bad ones. And what I do, I just tend to pray about that and continue the work that I'm doing. And when people actually meet me face to face, even people who think they don't like me, they'll say, you're really not like they say you are. I said, no, I'm not. I love you.
You're like the pro-life grandma.
But this is...
How can you not love
I used to be Mama King, now Granny King.
I know. You're baking on TV. I'm like, how could you not love her?
And people, I have a saying, and I'm going to demonstrate this, because you're not my enemy. You're my very good friend. But suppose you didn't like me and you were doing something terrible, and you come up to me and you say something. I say, Kristan, I'm praying for you. Would you please take the knife out of my back so I can keep praying? And sometimes I actually say that to people.
Well, I'm sure they
Yeah. But I say, I really do love you. I believe that's something that we can do to help save the world.
How do you feel? I always remember, I was thinking about, so we talked about that first time we all did the partnership, doing the protests and prayer vigils in front of Planned Parenthood. And that was when former Vice President Mike Pence was Congressman Mike Pence. He introduced the defund Planned Parenthood bill. Right. It was, I was pregnant with my son. All I remember was like, super hot. I kept throwing up everywhere, trying to get to you all and corral pastors. If anyone's ever had to corral a bunch of pastors to do anything. Oh my gosh. And it was such a fun summer. But I remember one of the meetings we did, remember we went up to Capitol Hill and we had like a little lobby day?
I do.
And we met Congressman Lewis. Yeah. John Lewis. Yeah. And I just, that to me, that always sticks out. I was thinking we're going to be going to, so I've been taking my children since, we live in the RV and we travel the country and we do all the history stuff. So we did a whole kind of civil rights tour. We were in Jackson, Mississippi, and it was an incredible experience. So this year we're going to, on the way back to Florida for winter, we're going to stop in Alabama. And my husband's like, we're going to Alabama? I'm like, listen, we got like Montgomery, Birmingham, Selma. Yeah. And so I was thinking about Congressman Lewis and that meeting we had with him and just like, I don't know, like the sadness of this person who did this incredible work, who was there at the pettiest, he was there at the bridge. Yeah. And then later in life becoming a U.S. congressman and then completely rejecting.
What happens is called hijacking.
Thank you.
And so there are all these values, all this compassion. Sometimes people are elected to office and they begin to make compromises. Mm-hmm. And then they find that they can't come back. Mm-hmm. And so what I like to still do in those cases is still give them something to think about. Mm-hmm. I won't go away because what they'll say, can you just stop doing that? Can't you go find something else to do? No, I'm going to keep telling the truth that these are human beings in the womb. They're small people, but they are people. And they should have civil rights and human rights because they've got God's right by nature of the fact that they exist. Mm-hmm. So we have to continue to tell the truth. And so I have a good friend that she's traveling with me right now. And she says, the devil is a liar. Jesus is the Messiah. Mm-hmm. And she reminds me that we go from victory to victory. We've already won.
That's right.
But we have to have love. We have to have compassion. We have to have truth. Mm-hmm. And as we do that, and telling a black woman, and you've heard me say this many, many times, you're going to tell me that killing the child in my womb is going to give me a better life? Mm-hmm. How can that be? And there are too many women, and myself included, after I repented, the Lord healed my body from abortions. And I birthed 5 more children after my first. I have 6 children because God is good. Mm-hmm. And am I complaining? As you said, I have a cookie show, I'm a fox, I'm doing this, I'm doing that.
Joy's a Mar-a-Lago, this glamorous life of Alveda.
Yeah. But the kids, and then when I'm at home, I have grand dogs, not children. I have those too. And the dogs are wrecking the house and doing this with the grandkids. They visit with their dogs. But I'm so glad to have children and grandchildren. Mm-hmm. That's part of my legacy. That's part of my heritage. Children are genuinely a gift from God.
And they are our legacy, our ultimate legacy. Well, thank you, Alveda, for all that you're doing. How do folks get in touch with you? And if they're having an event or if they're like, we have to bring Alveda to our campus, how can they get in touch with you?
alvedaking.com, speakforlife.org. And I actually am on social media.
You are, and it's you. You can.
Really me.
Do you respond to the DMs on Instagram?
I do.
I think you may know more about Instagram than I do.
A little bit. Let's do a cultural thing. Boom.
Done.
You know this one?
No.
Well, that goes to Africa. Give me something from your culture. Give me a little symbol or sign or something from your culture.
I don't know if they're Irish and Polish.
Oh, yeah. Well, I guess if we had a shamrock or something.
A shamrock, I could give you many blessings from a clover.
Do it. God bless you.
Thank you, Alveda, for all that you're doing.
I love you so much.
Keep praying for us and the pro-life generation. And thank you all for tuning into this very special episode of the Explicitly Pro-Life podcast. I'm Kristan Hawkins with my good friend, Dr. Alveda King.